Hi everyone, George here. Have you ever worked on a project where you finished the work, but the long-term results were disappointing? Let's say you installed an eComm store, but few customers came to visit. It's as if your store couldn't get traction. Today's video is all about traction, what it is, how to measure it, and how to visualize it with something we'll call the test track. Whether you're new to project work or have years of experience, I think you'll find today's talk interesting. So let's get started. Let's start by understanding what problem we're trying to solve. Projects and initiatives demand hard work, but hard work alone doesn't ensure success. For example, when a marketing department upgrades a website to increase revenue, how do they know that the upgrade worked? Probably they'll wait to see if revenue increases. And that's fine if everything was done perfectly, but probably there will be a few problems discovered over time. Watching a lagging indicator like revenue is too slow. It might take months to see a problem that could have been discovered in weeks. The cause to our problem is that there's no commonly accepted way to track initiative and projects as they deploy, something we'll call traction. And our solutions are going to be twofold. First, we'll create something called a test track to measure traction. And second, we'll sandwich that test track between the well-known action plan and bowling chart to create a success map to reliably monitor a project through its lifetime. Initiatives and projects mature along the same path: change, traction, value. First, there's a period of high change ending in a project launch. Let's say we're going to increase revenue by overhauling our website for e-commerce. That change includes designing and implementing that new website. That's a lot of work. During this period, we need a highly flexible way to measure our project, like an action plan. And we want projects and initiatives to end delivering on the value they promised. Here we're talking about things that are important to the larger organization, like revenue increase or reduction of cost or reduction of quality defects. Here, we need a measure for our project that lets us aggregate many events, like adding the revenue from selling thousands of units. For this, we'll use a bowling chart or bowler that tracks value accumulated over time. But in the middle is a period of traction. Our new eComm site may be slated to eventually generate $15 million a year, but revenue is a slow measure. At launch, we can measure traction, such as, do first-time users stay on or hop off in seconds? Or do they place an order, even a small one? Knowing that we're getting traction gives us confidence that value will come. So let's focus on traction. How do people measure traction? There's a hodgepodge of methods. For example, people use early prototypes like beta units or the minimum viable product from Eric Ries. But more often, the measure of traction is less formal. Maybe a company leader calls a trusted salesperson to ask if she sees customers engaging. Or maybe people quietly complain to the boss when traction is lacking. There's not a widely accepted way to measure or show traction, so there's lots of variation and little consensus. Enter the test track. A success map uses a test track to create a systematic way to monitor a project through 3 stages of maturity. Here's a sample. An action plan to track how we change a website for medical devices marketed to hospitals. A bowler to track revenue generated over the first year. Between those two is a wide gap. If we lose track of the launch project before it starts delivering real value, problems can hide. The test track bridges that gap, measuring how products and services perform in the critical early cases. The plan for the entire success map is created at the start of the project. It represents the consensus of the organization for what we expect and how we'll measure it. So you're probably familiar with action plans and financial schedules like the bowler. So let's focus our time here on the test track. Here's a simple test track to measure traction of a website just after launch. This is a revenue-generating project, so each row is one customer we're going to interact with early. Here, we call out 4 customers. Which customers and how many are needed to represent that the project's traction is successful takes expertise. The success map doesn't seek to replace that expertise, just the opposite. It seeks to align the organizational experts so everyone pulls together. And each column in our test track is a lap, an intermediate stage building to full traction. The last lap is our consensus that we have good traction. And when all customers reach this point, the test track is complete. The test track is a single point of truth that a cross-functional team sees and has opportunity to challenge. While it's not a guarantee of success, it's far more reliable than a team working to unstated or conflicting goals. The success map creates an experimental mindset. We write our hypothesis down at the start. We measure how we perform throughout, and we address gaps. And even when the hypothesis is wrong, the organization learns. The test track bridges the change of the action plan or any other project management method to measuring value with a bowler. It's the ideal combination of flexibility and aggregation for measuring traction. And we can use the same visualization for any type of project: IT, quality improvement, product development, marketing, or even commercial initiatives. If you'd like to try the test track, start out with a small project and write down how you can interact with 3 or 4 customers throughout that project. Think of a few laps, intermediate stages where you can see that the customers are buying into the solution. Design your test track as a team and follow up as a team frequently. With a test track, you can know you have traction in weeks rather than waiting months and hoping for the best. I hope you find the test track useful. If you'd like to read about more topics in Lean Thinking for Knowledge Work, please see Improve, the next generation of continuous improvement for knowledge work.